Welcome back to another episode of It's in the Details. As always, please remember to share, like, subscribe, rate, review, comment wherever you get the show. If you are so inclined, your support is appreciated. Before we get into it, there's a couple of things. I went for a run yesterday. Not bragging, not just trying to stay alive, y'all. Just trying to stay healthy. I'm not bragging about the run. But the reason I bring the run up is because a couple things happened on this run that were more interesting than the usual thoughts of let's not faint or pass out on the street because you're putting in all this work. The first interesting thing happened, and guys, this is 7 minutes into the run, okay? First interesting thing, I see a man talking to two parking enforcement persons. Two, not one, two. And they clearly have given this man a ticket. I've got earphones in, but I can lip read. And he was also loud. But the man is looking at the two parking enforcement attendants and saying, I pay your salary. Said it twice. I pay your salary. While I'm running by, I said nice and loud myself, that's gross. That's gross. I've never seen this in real life. I know these people exist, right? I know these people exist, but I've never seen it in real life. I've only ever seen it on TV, and it's this weird device they use to let you know the person on the show is a jerk, a big jerk, but I'd never seen it in real life. So it dawned on me, if you know anybody in your life that might be a I pay your salary person to anyone that works for any sort of government entity, tell them to stop doing that. And if you do it, you don't need to be here either. It's real gross. It's really gross. So let's stop doing that altogether. Everybody, let's just stop doing that. The other interesting thing I saw, which is much more lighthearted, was I saw a little celebrity. Action. I saw Mother's Milk, the character Mother's Milk from The Boys. And I guess that means they're shooting because that show is shot, I think, primarily in Toronto, if not exclusively, but primarily in Toronto. So that's good news. That show's rolling. We're going to get some new stuff soon. The show's fantastic. If you've been here for a while, you heard me talk about The Boys with some of my friends. If you haven't started watching it, watch it. But I saw Mother's Milk, and I'm not the kind of person who gets startled or starstruck by celebrities. I've seen quite a few downtown over my years. And Mother's Milk did not startle me in the usual starstruck kind of way. He's tiny. I'm just gonna say it. And I don't care that he's tiny. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any impact on me. He's still wide as a truck. This dude is jacked in shape. He's a great actor. The role he's putting down, Mother's Milk, is a nice character in The Boys. I like him. I was just struck by how tiny he was. Myself, I'm not that tall. I'm not. I'm not short, but I'm not that tall. I had Mother's Milk by a good 3-4 inches. He's tiny. You always hear about these celebrities like Tom Cruise. You heard Tom Cruise is wearing lifts. Tom Cruise got himself together with Katie Holmes. Katie Holmes is probably about 5'11". And Tom Cruise always looked like he needed a booster chair whenever he was walking around with Katie Holmes. And Tom Cruise got that Tom Cruise money, so they said his shoes might have been inflated a little bit. Are all of our big-time actors tiny? I'm just wondering. But Mother's Milk is in the city. Look out for him if you're in the city. I was just gonna say, hey man, love your work in The Boys, but he was looking at his phone and I was running. He didn't need to be bothered. He knows he's good at what he does. And if he doesn't, someone send this to him. Let him know. Mother's Milk, I like you. I think his name is Laz Alonso. I like your work. You do good stuff. I just was surprised by how short you were. And you'd be probably, well, you don't know me, so you wouldn't be surprised about anything about me. But anyway, it's funny that short actors came to mind, and Tom Cruise specifically, because I watched F1 all weekend long. All weekend. I gave you guys a little heads up that it was coming. If you haven't started watching F1, I said, go ahead, watch this weekend. They're going to give you a little shorty race. I said 30 minutes. Turned out it was 17 laps, I think. 17 laps, maybe 21. I can't remember. Short amount of laps. And the weekend as a whole was spectacular. Okay? Kind of in a reverse order sort of thing. They know what they're doing in F1. The race had celebrities, okay? Tom Cruise and his short little self at the race. VIP guest of Lewis Hamilton. Harrison Ford was at F1. He was with Williams, one of the bottom feeder teams, up and coming. They're starting to put some things together. And royalty was there. I don't follow the Royals. I don't know if it was good Royals or bad Royals. I don't know. They had a mask on. And I only heard the telecast say royalty. It was a man. I think it might have been Andrew. I'm not sure if he was wrapped up in any bad royal stuff. I don't know. But there were celebrities everywhere, right? You go back to the beginning of the weekend. You had qualifying on Friday instead of Saturday. Qualifying, immensely entertaining. Just unbelievably entertaining. You got Mercedes working in tandem to help get Lewis on the pole. Lewis got the pole. Everybody's going crazy. This debuted new format was held in the UK, as I said, Silverstone. And it turns out it's the perfect place for them to have held it. Okay? Because Lewis got the pole. Lando Norris, another UK driver, did quite well. I think he finished 5th or 6th in qualifying. And George Russell, a Mercedes driver, but he drives for Williams, he finished 8th. They can't get that car to finish higher than 15th in a race, 12th, 15th. They can't get a car higher to finish in single digits in a race, but George Russell showed what he's made of and finished in the top 10 in qualifying. So the fans were going crazy. Okay? Crazy. And I talk about F1 and how great it is all the time. I've also been watching IndyCar. You didn't know that. You didn't know I was watching IndyCar, did you? You don't know because it's not really... It's fun to watch. It's fun racing, but it's not really anything to really talk about. Okay? IndyCar, if there are any IndyCar watchers, just stick with me. But IndyCar is like a bargain basement F1. You know, you just... Back in there was a store called Byway. I don't know if you remember what Byway is. I might be aging myself grossly. But there was a store called Byway, and every Byway I knew, it's a discount store. Every Byway I knew was downstairs in the mall. And typically, these malls did not have downstairses. Okay? There were no downstairses in these malls, but Byway was downstairs. Okay? The mall is F1. Byway is Indy, okay? And the F1 folks know what they're doing. So like I said, brand new format. People are already in F1. They said, let's mix it up anyway, see if we could get more people, okay? They put it in the UK. The UK fans are nuts. We know that. They're nuts. They're nuts for sports. They're nuts to support their players and athletes. but they're nuts, rabid fans. So then you got Lewis and George Russell and Lando showing up at qualifying. Then we have the sprint race, okay? The little shorty race I was talking to you about earlier. Lewis lost that first position by the end of the second turn, I think, okay? And was racing hard and never got it back. Never got it back, okay? So he finishes second now at home. Now, the thing is, when you switch things up, you never know what the unintended consequences are going to be. The unintended consequences. So, as I see it, we had some unintended consequences this weekend. Because when we got to the race, Lewis thought he was going to be in first when they started. But because he lost the sprint race, he showed up in second. Now, Lewis has been doing this for a long time. He's won a lot of stuff. And he invited Tom Cruise. And he's at home. They had about 140,000 people there watching on Sunday. Who knows how many extra millions were watching at home? Lewis made a decision Saturday night and Sunday morning. You are not embarrassing me at home. You are not. So Max came out. He kept his lead through a few corners. Lewis was racing him hard. Lewis has been backing off in all those corners all season long. And then Lewis refused to back off in one of the fastest corners we're going to see all season. Max, aggressive as ever. Maybe turned in on Lewis a little bit. Maybe Lewis didn't leave him enough room. I haven't been watching it long enough to be certain about any of it. And nobody that works for F1 is really confident in saying yes or no. But you hear racing incident a lot because there was an incident. And Max went flying into some tires and a barrier. They said he took an impact of 51 G's. If you don't know what G's are gravity. 51 is how many times your body weight was multiplied by the impact. So he took 51 times his body weight from that impact. He's banged up bad. And the unintended consequences of letting Lewis think he had the pole and then losing it before the race started was Lewis not getting embarrassed. I don't know who was right or wrong. What I do know is it was spectacular the whole weekend. I forgot to mention, F1 showed up on the Saturday, the sprint race day, with a new graphics package. Okay? All new graphics just for the sprint race. And guess what? They're better than the regular graphics. Way better than the regular graphics. Night and day. And you know how I know that? Because Sunday, they went back to the regular graphics and they were boring. Okay? Give me them new graphics, please. But man, spectacle. It's such a spectacle. You got funny day qualifying. You got a new race. You got celebrities on the track. They were walking around the cars. Okay? Hundreds of thousands of fans, which I assume is normal when we're not fighting off air cooties. But you know, all sorts of things. And then the race did not disappoint. Lewis got a penalty. He had to come back. He came back last minute, stole it from some dude who was leading the whole race. He thought he was going to win. Lewis said, nah, we in the UK, baby. I'm going to have to pass you real fast. It was good. It was so much fun. I mean, if you missed it, you missed it. But you shouldn't have. You were warned. I didn't know it was going to be this good. But it was spectacular. The F1 team, the broadcasting team, it's like they had better scripts. And I already said, I think they're the best in the game. Best in the whole game. And I think their scripts were better. They were more poignant. They were more descriptive. They had better jokes. Whew. Whew. F1 was a good weekend, boy. It was a good weekend. I mean, sprint race weekend just did not disappoint. I forgot to mention, they debuted the 2022 car. The 2022 car? Oh my goodness. Even if you're not into F1, just Google F1 2022 car. Wow. Okay. Charles Leclerc got his first podium. Remember how I said the post-race stuff? Maybe I didn't say this to you. Maybe I said it to a friend. But the post-race interviews, nobody holds back. Nobody's worried about being politically incorrect. Christian Horner was out here big mad that his driver got injured. Big mad that his driver got injured, man. He was out here basically calling Lewis an amateur driver. Talking about you got 8 championships. Lewis only has 7, by the way. Maybe he's conceding this 8th one this year now. But he's out here talking about Lewis got 8 championships. You should know not to put your car in that position. He knows better. Talking to him like he's his dad. But you know better. But so much was going on. And I think the most interesting part of this whole weekend, we're not going to see for a year. And that is when this weekend becomes the best Drive to Survive episode we've ever seen. Quote me, take a screenshot, do whatever you got to do now. I'm guessing that episode of Drive to Survive might be an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. So they could pack in all the pomp and circumstance of those UK people going wild for this spectacular weekend. If anybody's looking for a new show, I would suggest The Blacklist. If you're a binger, season 9 just wrapped up. Okay, I know I've seen that The Blacklist is on Netflix now. If you're a binger, go get it. I don't think this show is for everyone. Okay, it is very procedural. It does fall into some very traditional action, drama, mystery kind of tropes, but it's a solid show. I like the show, and I've never quite liked a show so much when really I only love one character. There's a lot of characters on the show that are fine, and this is no disrespect to those actors and actresses. You help make the show great, but your individual performances are fine. Okay? James Spader as Raymond Reddington, elite. So good. And it feels like you're watching like an art piece. Like this is a really artistic show when you're watching him. It's a really artistic show. And not like a David Lynch, Twin Peaks kind of artistic. It's just like you're watching someone who cares about how they act. He cares. He really cares. Like, there was a monologue towards the season finale. A season finale that I'd like to mention almost squeezed some tears out of my eyeballs. Okay? Almost. I caught myself. I was like, are you about to cry? You know what? If you're about to cry, just let it happen. This season finale deserves it. Okay? But I did not cry. I might be a robot. But in the monologue in this final season, or this season finale, in the monologue, I think I watched it 4 or 5 times. I couldn't get past it to finish the episode. I just kept watching it and watching it. the delivery. The way he delivers a sentence, the way he delivers the dialogue is so good. Okay? The pauses, the way he links words together, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Then he does this thing where he chews on words. You can see him chewing on the word with his mouth as it comes out. If you are a current watcher of The Blacklist and you just saw this, go back and watch it and watch him say crossroads. The way he chews on crossroads, it just had me rolling. I can't believe how good he is. And then the dialogue, the words, the script, the things they're using, the things they want to say. And I have to imagine, in my mind, I imagine he has a lot of input on it. But they're setting up something that's going to happen in the show. His character is going to be leaving a restaurant. And instead of saying, then I leave the restaurant, he says, then I exit. That doesn't sound like a lot to you, maybe. But when you put it in the context, the choice of saying, then I exit, as opposed to saying, then I leave the restaurant, is it almost made it sound like a manual. Like he was reading a manual, which does not sound interesting, and I promise you it is. It sounds like he's reading a manual instead of just delivering some words to the person he's talking to. And it's been 9 seasons of that. Just, we could say this. I think Raymond Reddington would say this instead. And it always feels right. Always leaves a smile on my face. It's a great show. Again, if you're looking for something to binge, there's a lot to binge there. I will say that I feel like I've had a love-like relationship, and there's never been any hate. It's been like a love-like. And I think it's because sometimes my PVR crapped out back in those prior seasons, stopped recording it. Then I had to go catch up a couple seasons to get back onto where I'm supposed to be. And every time I come back, I'm like, this show is one of those shows I don't want to end. And I feel like it's been going on for too long all at the same time. Does that make any sense? I'm very much attached to the characters, so I don't want it to be over. And maybe this season finale helps bring some freshness. If you watch, you know what I'm talking about. But maybe the season finale helps bring some freshness to season 10, because season 10 is coming. So I'm ready for it. But watch The Blacklist. You got to watch it. James Spader's so great. If you don't know who I'm talking about, James Spader, his career has been going on forever. I haven't seen enough of his career, so I'm going to probably marathon something down with some James Spader soon. But he was the most permanent person who took over for Steve Carell in The Office when Steve Carell decided to be a movie star. And they started running through guys. Actually, no, he wasn't the most permanent. I think that was Ed Helms. But it was like Idris Elba, Will Ferrell, Ed Helms, and James Spader it was probably like 2 seasons of him just being this weird, quirky, eccentric, almost off-putting kind of character that made everybody on the show feel uncomfortable. But not me. I got it. I got what he was doing. It was hilarious all the time. And The Blacklist feels like the perfect vehicle for him to do what he wants to do. It's kind of like how Bill Murray shows up and does a movie every 5 or 6 years, and he only does what he wants to do. And he always lands himself in the perfect vehicle for what Bill Murray wants to do. Raymond Reddington, played by James Spader in The Blacklist, is the perfect vehicle for him to do what he wants to do, and personally, what I want to see him do. Just this, again, eccentric, man of the world. I speak all these languages. I enjoy all this art. Can I have a glass of sherry? And give me my fedora. You got to see it. You got to see it. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we go. I'm not sure if you know, but I have started a second podcast. Yes, I apparently really enjoy doing this. I started a second podcast with my boy Roger, whom I'm sure you've seen. He's been on twice now. It's called It's in the Details, the Big Brother edition. The first episode dropped last week on Sunday. We will be dropping a new episode every Sunday. The plan is to give you 3, 4, 5 hours to figure out when to watch it before Sunday's Big Brother episode comes on. And I hope you enjoy it. The first one was a lot of fun. They jammed 4 episodes with no evictions into the first week. So it was a fun one nonetheless. Lots to talk about. A lot of crazy characters in this show. And Roger and I are just talking about it. Just sharing how we see it, how we hear it, everything we find interesting and hilarious about Big Brother. He is a live feed watcher from time to time. I prefer to stick to the show, so you'll see kind of the different experiences in what we take away from the show and that. But anyway, check it out. It's going to come up on the same YouTube feed, and it will be available on its own audio platform. So check it out. Let me know what you think about it, or let us know what you think about it. Well, once again, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Thank you for tuning in. If you are so inclined, please like, rate, subscribe, review, comment, share. See you in a week, y'all. Peace.